Alrighty everyone, welcome to episode 3 of the My Team Career Mode series, where we'll be taking Fleetwood Formula from the back of the pack all the way to the top. Now, starting off this episode, well, we got to obviously do our activities throughout the weeks before the race, and we've got a few upgrades hopefully coming on very soon, but this is a very special episode because it is our first ever home Grand Prix. We're at the Australian Grand Prix, an Australian team with 2 Australian drivers. And as it stands, we are lower mid-table in terms of performance. Last week, we got some more points in Saudi Arabia, so climbing up the field a little bit. There we go. We got the pistons on successfully. That's great. Let's get our resources in. See if we can get any other upgrades on. I wouldn't think so with 400. Ooh, we have had a failure. That's not ideal. The gearbox didn't go on properly. That's okay. We'll get it on before Miami. We'll get it after the Australian Grand Prix, so look out for that. The gearbox could let us down. And it is time, of course, for the Pirelli Hot Lap. We're going to do drift. It's the most fun. And as I'm drifting around here, you know, just chilling, it's pretty simple stuff. I was just having flashbacks to the Australian Grand Prix from this year. Just like going through all the corners, and I was just thinking, God damn, I was there with Fernando Alonso. What a day that was, doing the track walk with Aston Martin. If you haven't seen that, be sure to head over to TikTok and Instagram to have a look. I've got plenty of content from that weekend out there. But yeah, these hot laps, let me know if you're even interested in seeing them. They don't really add a whole lot of substance. I mean, let me know if you want them to stay, but obviously I'm going to keep doing them. It gives you the resource points and the cash that you want for the team, but it's not really much to look at. We get gold, of course. And given that it is our home Grand Prix for everybody on the team, let's do ourselves a favor and get a nice green and gold helmet. I can't lie, that is a pretty poor attempt. It looks more Jamaican than anything with the black strip down the middle, but that's okay. Let's have a look at our pace. Now, I'm not too bad around this track. I spent a bit of time on time trials beforehand, being like early days of the game. I haven't had an awful lot of time to sit down on every track. I haven't raced most tracks yet, or even put a lap down on most tracks yet, but I have done a fair bit around Australia and Baku. Baku time trials, I'm pretty good. That's next episode, so that's exciting. But for now, look at us. We're on the mediums in practice 1, just doing some nice race strategy stuff. And we're hitting, apart from there when we're slipping and sliding through the last exit, we're hitting some pretty good lap times. As you can see, we're currently sitting P1. We then go out to do a qualifying sim. And even though we are going miles quicker than our medium time, which was faster than Hamilton on the softs and Perez on the hards and Norris on the softs as well, apparently we're going to be failing this program. It doesn't make sense. I have since been able to run the qualifying pace program on other tracks, and I think it's just broken. Like it's just not realistic. Excuse me, how was I meant to do a 16? It's just not gonna happen. Anyway, so we go fastest overall on the softs. So at this point I'm thinking, are they just all very slow in this session? Or are we actually going into qualifying the fastest car? Or the fastest driver on track? Doesn't make sense. Let's chuck on a few upgrades. We obviously can't do simultaneous of other departments, so it has to be aero. Let's chuck down the front wing gurney flap, and we can do spark plugs as well. No, we can't. We can't afford them. Never mind. I'll take it back, guys. I'm sorry for my incompetence. Let's get underway with qualifying. It's a beautiful sunny day in Australia. The crowd is pumping. The sun that doesn't do it justice. There were people everywhere. It was actually kind of ridiculous. It took me an hour and a half to get off of the track after the podium ceremony. That was ridiculous. Anyway, it is time for qualifying. We know we've got some pace within us. Let's just string a lap together properly and see where we end up. First lap into the braking zone. I'm taking a lot of curb on the right. I did see in time trials a lot of people were avoiding that. I don't know. It's just muscle memory, isn't it, really? I'd take the curb. Really, exit there in second gear. Got us a little bit shaky on the exit. Went a bit too far wide. Look, it's not the greatest start at all. But it's okay. We can pull it back together. I know we've got the pace in this car. Get on the grass a little bit. That's too much. That's what. That's not going to do it. Let's lift. Let's bring it back around. We've got enough fuel in because I keep forgetting to pull the fuel out. That's okay. It works in this time. 4 laps of fuel still to go, so we'll definitely get a lap in. Let's go. Forget that last attempt and see what we can do on our first try. Alright, Let's go. We're crossing the line now to start our first lap. Yep. 21 seconds behind the pace. Something tells me that's not representative, but look, that wasn't a great 1-2 chicane. But we got plenty of time to make up in this lap. Now into the braking zone of 3, deep, and trying to get a nice late apex to set up the next corner. We took that better than before. Remember, we went a little bit too far out to the right. Didn't get on the power early enough there, though. But we're keeping it on the track, which is the most important part. Let's try and do that here. We didn't last time. Didn't get it turned in nicely. To be honest, it was quite tentative. I just didn't want to bin it. Just get a banker in. Nice and safe. Again, avoiding that curb there on the inside right. Even though I know you can take a lot more of it. Just get it. Get a lap time in, really. That's what this was about. Good pace so far, though. Nonetheless, like there. Probably lost a bit of time on the inside curb, but that's okay. Get it nicely hooked in. That was a nicer apex. And a better exit here. Hopefully don't squirm on the exit. No, we've kept it pinned all right. We've got the power down. We're going to cross the line. Our first proper lap. P3. We're faster than Max Verstappen and George Russell. Sorry? We'll take that. We didn't want to go out again. Because you know what? We're confident. We know we've got the pace. We don't want to waste any rubber. Alright. Q2 time. We have the pace. We've got this. We can easily get into Q3 here. I have so much faith in us. We did one lap and it wasn't even that great. And we finished, well, overall, P5. Our competition, who the Haas's, AlphaTauri, come again. Purple through Sector 1. That's a great little start. Let's bring it around. First lap of qualifying 2. That's better. Much cleaner on the exit. Just about keeping it within the track limits. Taking a nice bit of curb there. Not hitting the red part, because when you do, you kind of screw up your pace. That's better. Keep the momentum going. Low minimum speed through the corners. Another nice apex early on the power. And get it turned in. Foot to the floor. DRS is open. We're going straight towards the line at max pace. Where's that going to put us? Whoa, hang on. A 1:18.02. We've gone the fastest in qualifying 2 by a 1/10.5 to Max Verstappen. Everyone's done one lap, and that's all we're going to need to do. We went fastest in qualifying 2. What is this? Has the track evolution just done us really nicely and nobody else went out? Maybe. But let's do this now. It's qualifying 3 time, and we're sliding on the exit, and we've hit the wall. We've hit the wall on our first attempt now in qualifying 3. That could really hinder us. Let's hope we can get it back in time. We've got 5 minutes left. We're going to skip through the repair times, and we've got fresh rubber to burn. It's only going to be worth 900. So is it worth? Now, should we be greedy? I always get too greedy and try and go out at the very last second. I shouldn't do that, realistically, but you know me, I'm going to. We've got 1 lap to go. Look, we're still skipping through the time. This is ridiculously dumb. We don't even get to do a flying lap now. We need to drive out, and we need to get around quickly. Every car now is going to be overtaking us, so we can't even push as hard as we'd like to. It's going to be an absolute fight to the line just to even set a lap. We ruined ourselves on our first attempt. We got 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Are we even going to make it across the line? We do, just in time. It is time for us to set our time to put us on our starting position for the race on Sunday. Let's see what we can do now. This is our only attempt. No room for errors. Down into the braking zone of 3. Get it turned in nicely. On the curb's going to unsettle the car a little bit, but it's not the worst start. As long as we get a lap time on the board, surely we improve from P10. We can't really get any worse. Turning in, taking way too much grass there and cutting the chicane. That's going to ruin our momentum all the way down this straight. It's okay, we'll get the DRS open. Luckily, the cars behind aren't going to overtake us. Come on, hook it up. Hook it up. This is a very hard chicane to get right. We're down on our time. It's not ideal. Come on, let's go. Oh, we're sliding and we've hit the wall. No, it's over. Guys, what could have been a fabulous qualifying for us. We could have been front row or thereabouts, and we have absolutely thrown this away. We had 2 chances. We messed it up both times, but that's okay. It could be a wet race on Sunday, so anything can happen. Chaos could await us. Let's see. We've got the pace. We've got, realistically, the car. Bring it on. Sunday, here we come. time for the home Grand Prix.
Welcome to Melbourne, and welcome to the Australian sun. We're still getting used to some track revisions here, but the core hasn't changed. This is a beloved classic of the F1 calendar, and it's time for the Australian Grand Prix. We're a stone's throw from the enormous Port Phillip Bay for today's race at the 3.28-mile Albert Park circuit. It's a bumpy racing surface here, and the 14 corners can prove especially difficult in the wet conditions. So watch out for a safety car at some point during this Grand Prix. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Sainz, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Wood, Norris, Ocon, Perez, Joe, Stroll, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Albon, Bottas, Doohan, Oscar Piastri, De Vries, Oscar Piastri. Now it's time to head down to the track. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Natalie Pinkham, good to have you with us here today. Your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, I'm looking forward to staying dry here in the commentary box. Thank goodness. The rain, though, does add an extra level of spice, doesn't it?
We're still in with a chance of winning this title. We need you to push as hard as you can in the 5 remaining races.
That's very optimistic, Mark. And what do you mean 5 remaining races, mate? This is only race 3 of the season. It's like a 22 calendar. Anyway, let's have a look. It's going to be an inter-start. Take a bit of fuel out. We won't need too much. Let's see what we can do. It is time for the race. On the grid, wet start. I actually haven't done any wet running in this game before this moment. This is completely just winging it. Let's go. Time for the Australian Grand Prix in the wet, controversially, not sunny, as Crofty said in the intro. But that's fine. We're off to a great start. There's plenty of space in front of us to make a move, hopefully around the outside, but we didn't slow down as much as we'd like to. Onto the curbs, trying to avoid contact because everybody's going to be squirrelish. And we've come through cleanly, up into P7 now. On the back of Alonso and Hamilton. Let's see what we can do. Don't want to hit the back of them. Go a little bit out to the left to avoid any potential contact. And there is a bit of a train already. I mean, what am I saying? It's lap 1. Of course it's going to be a train. Let's just try and keep with Alonso in the spray. Pull away from Gasly and the rest, because it was a bit of a weird grid. There's plenty of slower cars behind us between a couple quicker cars, so hopefully they can just slow them down. Use as much ERS as we can without spinning off the track, because it's hard to keep it straight in the high speed on the wet. But we've got Gasly on the back of us now, heading into the chicane. Hopefully he doesn't get too confident, and he does what he needs to do, and that's stay behind. We don't need any contact, thank you very much. We've made it through clean so far, which is surprising to me, to be honest. Into the braking zone now. It's going to be an opportunity to bunch up with those cars in front and try and stay with Alonso. We hit the curb there. That's going to be unsettling the car. But surprisingly, we've got decent traction in the wet on the exit of corners. It's the braking into the corners, which I'm struggling with, as we see there, going quite deep, nicking Alonso on the way through. Gasly now tapping us on the rear as we're trying to get an exit out of the corner, but not losing too much time, thankfully, from that. We're going to check any damage. And we've not got any damage, it seems, from that contact with Alonso, thankfully. We're falling now just outside of a second to Alonso. But meanwhile, let's go have a look at that race start from us now. We got off the line very nicely, getting away from the cars behind and then giving us momentum into the braking zone to make up another position. So there we go, Hulkenberg on the right. Equal start. It's our second part of the launch really helped us there. And under brakes, we get Gasly as well. A little bit of a dodgy move off the track. Maybe I should have had to give it back, but the FIA thought, oh, it's the wet. We'll give it a little bit of leeway, thankfully. And now behind us, we're starting to pull. Gasly's hanging on with us, but Norris and Hulkenberg behind, starting to bunch up a little bit and make a tiny little train behind us. That gives us an opportunity now. Focus on what is in front, and that is Alonso. Alonso is our target now. We're looking at a top 5 in this race is my goal. Maybe we're not going to get near the podium, but Alonso and Hamilton could be possible. A little slippery there on the exit of the chicane. Track should be drying out soon, he says. We'll see about that. Looks quite slow up ahead. Apparently we've got damage, I don't know about that. But the cars are going slow up ahead right now. I don't know what's happening. It seems like someone might have an issue. But DRS is enabled, and that means I'm going to make a massive gamble here and pull into the pits. I don't know whether we go hards or mediums, but would you look at that? The Mercedes are double stacking. This is an opportunity now to jump Hamilton. He's going to get caught up by Russell in the pits, as we see there. He's having to wait. As we drive past, we're going to probably get out ahead of Hamilton and behind Russell now. In we come. It's going to need to be a good pit stop, not like we had in Jeddah. It's clean. It's 2.5 seconds, and we get out in front of Gasly too. Gasly had a great stop. He's bunched up a little bit to us, but fundamentally, we come out probably provisional P5 or P6 now. I think we've jumped a position. Well, we did definitely to Hamilton, but maybe with those drivers still out in front of us, they could fall behind. Although, it doesn't look like there's much of a difference between the Inter and the medium just yet. As you see, Piastri and, hang on, Sainz has DNF'd. He's pulled off the track. And Lance Stroll is parked in the pit entry. Let's see what happens. So Carlos's engine's just gone out, and rather than pulling into the pits about 20 meters to the left, he goes, all right, I'm going to go at the runoff. Fair dues. Lance Stroll decides not to slow down and goes onto the grass, then doesn't make the braking point, then blocks the pit lane. De Vries has decided to let him go and then not let him go. There goes Russell, and Stroll is parked in the pit lane. Unfortunately, the drivers that were in front of us that wanted to pit, like Alonso, they made it through anyway. So we still are behind Alonso, but our tyres have a bit of temperature now compared to his. He's just come out of the pits on his mediums, and we had decent pace, but when it was like the crossover period, which it still is, but there is quite a bit of grip. I know you see me twitching on the exit and correcting all the time, but I had a fair bit of grip, and it was very impressive to me how we managed to do that, because this track is still very damp. Look at that, already we've pulled 7 tenths to Gasly, 8 tenths, and by the end of this lap, we've gone purple in Sector 2, which is a shock. And we're on the back of Alonso now with the DRS activated. Look, we're pulling away from Gasly. If we can get out of his DRS and stay within Alonso's DRS, that could be great for us. The fastest lap goes to George Russell. We don't quite get it, which means they've got good pace in front of Alonso. So we've got to stick with him and hope that we can close down together to the top 3. Max Verstappen out in front by quite some margin, followed by now Charles Leclerc, and then George Russell. So Alonso is right in front of us, and by right in front of us, I truly mean right in front of us. You can look at the track now. It looks very dry. It was still not the best grip going, as you would expect. I mean, it was only raining about 5 minutes ago, but drying quickly. Great grip now. Alonso is pulling away on the exits of the corners, and behind us, Perez on the back of Gasly. They're going to keep fighting. That gives me comfort to settle into a groove now. I don't need to worry about what's behind me. The fact that we have pulled 3.5 seconds to Gasly is just very, very promising to me. We take a bit too much curb there, but thankfully it doesn't unsettle the car. Had the track been any wetter, we would have been in the wall. Fortunately though, I'm looking on the mini-map. Russell and Leclerc are already starting to fight, and there are 6 laps to go. 6 laps to go. A little bit wide on the exit there, and almost pulled a Sebastian Vettel 2022. But we didn't. Alonso pulling away a little bit at the start, but we will get the DRS and trying not to use as much overtake as possible. Save that for when we really want to go for an overtake. Another load of DRS now, and we're going to be pulling right on the back of him, but we're just going to allow him keep the position, mate. Pull us through as much as possible. I'm trying to be a lot smarter this year in terms of fighting for positions, because I would always just squabble for the sake of it. I want to get the position now. No, focus on the bigger picture, mate. You have an opportunity now. If the cars in front keep battling or have a DNF, you could be on the back of a podium fight. So head down, use your DRS, save your overtake, and let Alonso pull you through. Getting a little bit scarily wide there on the exit, almost going too far onto the curb, the point of no return. We are well and truly on the back of Alonso now. About to start lap 11, 5 laps to go, and it's time to focus up I think we could be slowing down now behind Alonso. We're quicker than Alonso. Didn't think I'd say that this early in the season. In front of us, here's your evidence. Russell and Leclerc are well and truly fighting. They've been swapping positions for a few laps now. Look at that, George defending heavily against Charles. This is going to be great for us. All we need to do is get past Alonso, and now could be our chance. We've got the DRS. We're already deploying our overtake. Let's make a move. This is a very courageous place to do it. Around the outside, he's opening it up for us. No, he's not. He's shutting it down. We'll try again another time. Maybe down here on the exit. DRS on. He's just blocking us very well. Great defending from him. He's everywhere, and we can't get past. Patience. 3 seconds to Leclerc in front of us. That has decreased already a second a lap, or in the last lap. And you can see exactly why. They are absolutely going for it. Like children in a playground, they don't want to give up that position. Here we go again. Look how tight he's pushing Leclerc into turn 1. And Leclerc just stumbling through the first chicane. Us on the back of Alonso not stumbling. And we have the pace. We've got the DRS down. We're not going to go for a move yet. Wait for the back straight. Again in front. 2.5 seconds now to Leclerc and Russell. Alonso getting a poor exit there. We could have gone for something, but we had a poor exit too. Now is our chance. We've got the DRS. We're not going to need the ERS. Up against the wall, and we hit the wall, and we go through the chicane just about. Not making contact with Alonso, and we have made it through safely, somehow, without damage. Have a look at this. Alonso giving us a late little squeeze to the wall. A little bit cheeky, but clean nonetheless. We've made it through. We're up to P4, and in front, as you can see, Leclerc and George are absolutely going for it. This is fabulous news for us. The Fleetwood Formula team is sinking. Over the radio, just yelling at me, saying, "Mate, don't mess it up, yeah? You've got a chance here at a podium in your home Grand Prix. Your first ever home Grand Prix. The team's first ever home Grand Prix. None of that. Don't spin out on the exit of the final turn and hit the wall. It's very easy to do so. But would you look at what's happening? We could have DRS on George Russell. They are squabbling. We are within 1 second now. Leclerc and George Russell. Who would have thought? We have DRS. We are on the back of a podium fight. Forget P3. With any luck, P2 could be on the cards here, but let's not get greedy. Let's just get closer and closer. Alright? Use your time. You've got 2.5, or just over 2 laps to go now. Let them sort each other out, and you just pick up whatever you can. Now is the time. Get your head down, Ethan. You're on the back of a podium fight. George Russell and Leclerc. We've gone quite deep there. We're going to get a pretty bad exit. Russell giving us the DRS, and he will hopefully squabble. Ocon is out of the session now. Not that it makes any difference. For a second, I got quite afraid of a safety car. That could have really messed us up, because we've got better pace now than these two. And you would hate for them to be able to defend home. But we're going to get the DRS on George this time around. Let's try and get a good exit. We have got a pretty decent exit. Keep it nice and narrow. Take the esports line, so to speak. Don't bother with the extra bit of track. It's not real life. You can just carry the speed regardless. Okay. Notice here, I'm not bothering with my overtake. I'm just allowing it to recharge a little bit. One final push on lap 15. That's all it's going to take while we're wobbling on the exit there. That could have been it. Well and truly thrown it away. Heart in your mouth type moments. George and Charles absolutely scrapping in front of us. One final lap. Neither of them are going to want to give up P2. And that opens up the corridor for P3 for us. A little bit wobbly there. Bye-bye, Ocon. Don't mess up my race. You can stay off to the runoff. One last lap. DRS, ERS, everything we've got. We just need to get on the back of this and let them fight. Push each other off the track through this first chicane. They're not actually, but George is right on the back of him, and we'll get a great run into the braking zone of turn 3. Let's see what he goes for now. Surely. Take him off. No, they're side by side. He's hit. Oh, Charles has taken off George's front end plate, but George keeps it stuck in for the next part, and we see an opportunity. We're going to step on it, and step on it too early. We did. We almost did another Sebastian Vettel moment, but we didn't. Okay. We just need a good exit from here. focus on the exit, and we get the power down nice and early. A little bit on the curb, too much. We're going to get the ERS on nice and early. Now is our chance into the heavy braking zone. We're noticing that they're too quick for us, so lift off a little bit early and get a better run on the exit through here. See George on the back of Charles. He's a bit stuck up, and we have a great exit, but we're on the curb a bit too much. Let's have a look at that again. Just the gap between me and George will allow me to get a better exit here, and we have that. Into the braking zone we're coming now. They're going side by side. We're going to look for the switch down the inside and hit the back of Charles a little bit, but George has lost out. We're up into P3. We've got 2 corners now, realistically, to go. Can we get a move? Leclerc's wobbling. We're up the inside, and we've pulled out at the last second. We don't want to crash out of this race. We could have moved up into P2 there. Let's have a look at that as we're approaching the line. Should have I stayed in there? I could have got P2, but chose the smart option. Nevertheless, in our home Grand Prix, Fleetwood Formula will cross the line. Podium finishes. We finish P3. Come on!
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a really strong drive and a great finish. Well done.
I cannot believe it. Honestly, when I saw the rain at the start of this race, based on my track record, I thought it was over. But it wasn't. Max Verstappen wins. Shock. Not. But we finished on the podium. Like, actually, that is ridiculous. I'm so happy with this. And I didn't cheese it or anything either. Like, genuinely, we just were quick.
Had it in spades today.
We weren't, like, just fighting the whole way. We had pace.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Wow, great to share the podium with the boys. Come on!
Max Verstappen's excellent result today sees him take over as the new leader of the Drivers' Championship.
No one's shocked,
Let's have a
Crofty.
quick look
Come
at
on,
how
mate.
the drivers' standings have changed. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who
Jack
would you
Doohan,
rank as
finishing
your driver of the
P16.
day?
He
I have
made
to
up
give
3
it
places. Well
to
done.
Wood. I think the fans
Yes,
want
thanks,
to see
Natalie.
someone try really hard.
It's kind of
Pure
condescending, though, to be
tenacity out
honest.
there on the racetrack, and
The
they've
fans
got
just want to see
exactly
someone
that. I
try
can see why
really
there are fans
hard.
very
Well, we did more than
so
that.
popular.
Have a look at
Let's
our lap
move on to the
times.
constructors.
Like, we were just
Further
consistent.
ahead in the standings,
Um,
it's Red Bull.
like, we
McLaren
didn't
team
have
today as
the
they make their
fastest
way
lap.
up the standings.
But
I'm
just
equal
putting in
parts
great laps. Like,
exhausted
look at the end of
and elated with this
George's
weekend of
race.
Formula One.
High 21s and 22s, and we were hitting low 21s the whole way through. So it just 2 mechanical failures there, Carlos and Ocon. But I don't think the pit stops really made much of a difference in the end. Like you saw, Max didn't lose out. Our gap to Fernando stayed much the same. But we finished on the podium in our home race. What? I'm so shocked and so happy. This has just been great. Absolutely great so far. I don't expect this sort of performance to continue. That being said, we fought hard from the very start of this race. We were confident in the wets. Somehow, I don't know, we made it through. On the back of George Russell and Carlos Sainz, we showed patience, we showed maturity. It was a great drive from start to finish. Have a look here. We could have got P2, but we'll take P3 with style. I cannot believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I've been Ethan, Woody F1. I shall see you all next time. Take care.